Today, I'm going to be sharing with you the top prime London neighbourhoods that you must know if you're considering renting here. Now, do make sure you stay to the end because I'm also going to be sharing with you rental prices, council tax, and just in general some great information that can really help you out. So I was originally going to name this video the best neighbourhoods in prime London, but then I got to thinking actually there are no best neighbourhoods. Each area has its pros and its cons, and ultimately what's important is that you make a decision based on what you have to spend, but also what the area has to offer. So there are so many great neighbourhoods in prime London to choose from that I've had to put these in groups. So the first up is going to be in northwest London, and that includes Hampstead, St John's Wood, Regent's Park and Camden. Now when you think about these areas, think about countryside, suburb, outside areas including parks which include Primrose Hill, Regent's Park, the Heath, and on top of that you also got the canals. It's a very quiet residential areas and it has a lot to offer. So Hampstead Village is going to be the one that's further northwest out of the four, and it's probably going to be the one that's going to feel more like a countryside or like a suburb. However, you do have good access into central London. You have the Northern Line which crosses through Hampstead Underground Station. You're probably in central London within 18 minutes. So we are leaving Hampstead Underground Station just at the back of us, and leading into Heath Street, quite a few restaurants, quite a few other shops around there, which have been around for probably I think more than 100 years. So you have the Horseshoe just around the corner from here, as you can see, but also has plenty of other things to do in the area, including a cinema, museums, and for outdoor space you got the amazing Heath, which is just down the road. And that brings us into St John's Wood, located in the borough of Westminster, literally right on the border of Camden Borough. The station itself is serviced by the Jubilee line, will take you into central London within 10 to 12 minutes. Very popular with families, although young professionals also like the area because it does have lots of cafes and little boutiques. St John's Wood is probably the most expensive out of the four, but it is a real gem. It's rich in history, a vibrant mix of cultures, and as I said, families absolutely adore it. Spacious homes, top-notch schools, and Regent's Park is practically right at your doorstep. And when it comes to Camden, you've got two sides. You've got the west side, which is the Regent side. It's going to be pricier, it's also going to be quieter. So some people think Camden, oh no, too much hustle and bustle, too much noise. Well, you might be surprised to hear that on the west side there are some very quiet roads. You've got Albert Street, you've got Oval Road, you've got some really nice leafy tree-lined streets. Now, on the other side, east side, also lovely, also you get some tree-lined streets, but it is going to be noisier. You also got some great locals, some great squares, and you're going to get more for your money on this side of Camden. So let's go ahead and break down the rental prices of each of these as of mid of 2023. First off, let's start with Hampstead. So rental values average £847 per week for flats and £1,500 per week for houses over the last 3 months in the middle of 2023. And when it comes to St John's Wood, Regent's Park and Camden, we can see that rental values average £757 per week for flats and a whopping £6,000 per week for houses in the last 3 months. Properties let over the last 3 months achieved an average of £53 per square footage. And if you want to go deep into these neighbourhoods individually, make sure you check out our videos. And that brings us into our next group in North London. And I'm going to include two areas here. You've got King's Cross, but also Angel in Islington. So King's Cross itself is going to be located in the borough of Camden, right on the border of Islington, mostly in the Camden borough. Now when it comes to the station and the amenities and public transport, really a sport for choice. You've got so many underground, you've got National Railway, so pretty much you can get anywhere in London from King's Cross and also across the country. In addition, King's Cross has transformed with cultural hotspots, cool bars and dining gems like the Cold Drop Yard. Plus, you're right by the serene Regent's Canal for peaceful waterside strolls. But keep in mind, this area is booming with development and tourism have left their mark here. Embrace the lively, ever-evolving vibe that defines King's Cross. And Angel Islington should be right at the top of your list. Angel is located in the borough of Islington. In fact, it's right in the middle of the borough, has some great access into the city. The transport itself is the Northern Line. Angel takes you into the city and the Docklands in no time. But a lot of people do decide to cycle because it's so close. And one of its biggest draws is its diverse and inclusive community. People from all walks of life call Angel home. A lot of locals. I would definitely say you find more professional here than students when compared to King's Cross. And when it comes to things to do in Angel, you're really spoiled for choice. You've got the upper street, which is full of restaurants, cafes and bars. Some of my favourites, I've said before in many of my videos, are Tolongi. If you want some nice cake or tea, they also do some lunch there. Gelato places, and Marina's got to be my favourite. I've got a sweet tooth, as I said before. So why live in Angel? It has a diverse community, lots of locals, convenience, and has a great vibe, but the location as well is just perfect if you're a young professional. So this is the report for King's Cross and Islington, and when we look at the rental values, average $659 per week for flats and $1,000 per week for houses. Properties let over the last 3 months achieved an average of £47 per square footage per annum in rent, up from £46 the same time last year. And if you're watching this video and you're familiar with these areas, leave me a comment below and let me know what your thoughts are. Okay, so if I didn't do a great job in convincing you of all these amazing neighbourhoods in North London, let me talk about why you should take the leap to West London. And we are talking about the trio of Kensington, Notting Hill and Holland Park. First off, let's start with Kensington. Now think about modern and luxury. And of course blend in that a mix of history. Now you've got gorgeous architecture and a touch of posh living. Next we've got Notting Hill. Think diversity, vibrant streets and world famous carnival. It's all a cultural fiesta here. And Holland Park is like having your very own secret garden in the heart of the city. And if you're more of an outdoor person, then you'll love Holland Park. I personally love Kyoto Gardens, whether it's summer or winter. In fact, I probably even like it best during winter. Winter strolls in the area are absolutely amazing. So why rent in these West London neighbourhoods? Well, first off, it has a vibrant mix of elegance, it has culture, architecture, history, but also has a lot of calm. So Kensington, Notting Hill and Holland Park for Q2 2023 rentals. If we look at the rental values, average £952 per week for flats and £2,000 per week for houses. Properties let over the last 3 months achieved an average of £56 per square foot per annum in rent. And if you're thinking about renting in London and you already feel overwhelmed with so many neighbourhoods and want some further advice, feel free to book an appointment directly with me. The link to my calendar is on the description. And let's talk about Marylebone in West London. So Marylebone is located in Westminster. When it comes to stations, it's right in the middle actually of lots of stations, at least the Marylebone Village. So Marylebone Station is sort of northwest from Marylebone Village, but right in the heart of Marylebone Village, you have 4 stations if I'm not mistaken. You've got Baker Street, right to the south you've got Bond Street, Oxford Circus and Great Portland Street. If I missed any and you know the area, let me know in the comments below. So when it comes to Marylebone, what can I say? It has a village feel. You're right next door to West London, so you have all of the shopping and the restaurants and the bars and even the clubs that come along with it. If you like fashion, of course you've got the Bond Street, which is just down the road. And if you're an expat with kids, the Marylebone area of London has a lot to offer when it comes to education. Some of the most notable schools within the area are going to include St Marylebone, which is ranked number 26 in the UK and number 1 in Westminster, and King's College in London. There are also several international schools in the area, including EIFA International School London and ICS International School London. And if you're into period homes, the architecture here is just stunning, especially with Edwardian, Victorian and Georgian buildings and terraces. And keep in mind that this report includes Marylebone and medical territory. And what we can see is that rental values here average around about £943 per week for flats and £1,380 per week for houses. When it comes to properties let over the last 3 months, achieved an average of £59 per square foot. Fitzrovia, Bloomsbury and Soho. So first off, the first thing that comes to mind when I think Fitzrovia and Bloomsbury is students. I see it as an extension of King's Cross. That's simply because there are a lot of universities in these areas and of course the students want to stay there. The only thing is if you are a student looking to stay in the area, you ain't going to have the options that you have in King's Cross with all the recent new builds and the amenities that come with it. There are a lot of period conversions, of course flats above shops. And when it comes to Soho, energy here is going to be through the roof. Lively streets, busy nightlife and a taste of that iconic London hustle. Now the dining here is going to be crazy. It's a world of flavours here, experiences waiting to be explored. I mean, I'm talking about international and again, hidden gems in every corner. So to wrap up these 3 areas, think of a fusion of art academia, nightlife, and probably just a true London spirit. Fitzrovia, Bloomsbury and Soho. So as we look at the rental values, average £821 per week for flats and £799 per week for the houses. Properties let over the last 3 months achieved an average of £66 per square feet. Mayfair and St James. Immediately think location, location, location. I mean, this is the very heartbeat of London, right? You've got Buckingham Palace as your neighbour. So if you've got deep pockets, picture this. Luxurious apartments that will take your breath away. And you're living in style. And if you're a shopaholic, you've got the world famous streets like Bond Street and Jermyn Street. Luxury brands and everything else that comes along with it. Now let's talk about food. Mayfair and St James are home to Michelin-starred restaurants that are going to elevate your dining experience to just another level. Culture buffs, get ready to immerse yourselves in art galleries, theatres and historic landmarks. And when you need a break from the hustle and bustle, there are serene green spaces like Green Park and St James Park. So why live in Mayfair or St James? Well, if you have deep pockets, I guess the question is, why not? You've got luxury living, and it's where history actually meets high living, and luxury has no bounds. And if you're like most people, I'm sure you're curious about the rental prices in this super prime London location. So let's dive in. Rental values average £1,700 per week for flats and £5,700 per week for houses. Properties let over the last 3 months achieved an average of £79 per square footage. And if you're still watching the video, well done. I know that prime West London has a lot of neighbourhoods. And next up, and still sticking to West London, we've got Bayswater and Maida. Both neighbourhoods, in my opinion, are massively underrated and undervalued. So both Maida and Bayswater are located in the borough of Westminster. Maida is just west of St John's Wood, but the thing is you get so much more for your money than you would in St John's Wood. Same thing with Bayswater, it's just west of Marble Arch, and your money's going to go so much more further here in these neighbourhoods. And if you take the time to explore these areas, one thing that you will notice is the charm of Victorian architecture everywhere. When it comes to outside spaces, again, not very uncommon from the other areas, but it has so much. It has the canal, it has the Hyde Park, which is just around the corner from both Maida and especially Bayswater. But just overall, there is a lot to do in these areas. More so Bayswater than Maida. Maida can feel a little bit more isolated perhaps. If you are more of an active person and like nightlife and restaurants and bars and things like that, then Maida may not be for you, but Bayswater is definitely an option. Bayswater is a cultural and a social mix, reflected in the amazingly varied restaurants and food stalls that line up along Queensway. Lends the area in some unusual contrast. Bayswater is a cosmopolitan yet comfortable, cutting edge yet cultured. So there you have it, Maida and Bayswater. Massively underrated neighbourhoods, and if you're thinking of renting in London, they should be really at the top of your list. So the rental report for Maida and Bayswater, we could see that values average around about £764 per week for the flats, and when it comes to houses, it's £1,587 per week. Properties let over the last 3 months achieved an average of £54 per square feet. And if you're an expat looking to rent in prime London, besides the rental prices, of course, you should be factoring in and considering, of course, your council tax, which will be your responsibility to pay. So let's look at the council tax in these boroughs. So first up, let's look at Camden. And we're looking at this based on the council tax band B, which will be £1,800 for 23, 20 to 24. And when it comes to Islington, again, council tax D, you're looking at £1,700. And for Westminster, it's going to be the most economic borough at £900 for council tax D. So if you're thinking, planning, or even struggling in renting a property here in prime London and need some advice, feel free to book an appointment directly with me. You have direct access to my calendar on the link on the description.